Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're going to be playing a brand new game which comes out today called Steel Division 2 by Eugen Systems, a brand new RTS game which takes place on the Eastern Front during World War II during Operation Bagration. I will say real quick, this video is focusing strictly on the campaign map, and we will not be fighting any tactical battles today. Those will come tomorrow. Today's video is really a first look specifically at the game's campaign mode. The campaign this game focuses around is Operation Bagration, the offensive that really cut the heart out of the German Wehrmacht and the Eastern Front, and resulted in the Russians kind of decisively ripping through the German front and never to really be held in check again. This was one of the most important and decisive offensives of the entire war, and led to the surrender of vast quantities and destruction of vast quantities of German forces. I believe it actually resulted in the destruction of an entire German army group, which obviously was a significant event. And was occurring during the summer of 1944. So shortly after D-Day, the Eastern Front was coming to a crescendo, and this campaign was being fought. Now, Steel Division 2 is the sequel of Steel Division 1, shocker, also made by Eugen Systems, which focused on the Normandy campaign. So Steel Division 1 came out a few years ago and was published by Paradox Interactive, made by Eugen Systems. Steel Division 2 appears to be self-published by Eugen. This is a company that has a long history of RTS-type games, dating back to console titles published through Ubisoft, like Ruse, which was really the first in this line of games, into the War Game series for games like War Game, Air-Land Battle, and Red Dragon, and now into the Steel Division campaign, which returns back to World War II. The War Game games were all looking at the Cold War, or a hypothetical Cold War gone hot, and the Steel Division series has brought this back to World War II. This is an interesting game. So I played a little bit of Steel Division 1, and that one was okay. The War Game and Steel Division games have always been more focused on multiplayer, competitive multiplayer. They're very fast-paced, tactical games that have a wealth of units and deck building and whatnot, and 10v10 type multiplayer games. So they've always been really popular with the multiplayer crowd. Their campaigns have generally been somewhat lacking. I think Wargame Air-Land Battle did some things more interesting than any of the other games. And Steel Division 1 was certainly more scripted. Steel Division 2 is supposed to have a dynamic campaign that takes place sort of at the army level, where you're moving around different corps, different units, and then you fight tactical battles out based on where units collide. And while there's always been this element of a grand strategic map, it never really felt like a living, breathing world. It never really felt super dynamic. It felt like, all right, there's a hex here, I'm going to move some troops here, and maybe we'll fight. So I'm curious how Steel Division 2 will look in those regards. I assume this game will still be very strongly focused on multiplayer. You can see this is the main menu of the game. You've got solo gameplay, multiplayer gameplay, battle groups, which is, I assume, where you build your decks and your divisions. And that's about it. There's a mod center as well. But today we're going to be taking a first look at this game, and we're going to be playing the solo game. Now there's skirmish mode, historical battles, army general. If we click historical battles, we can play individual fights, and it looks like they have recommendations of 2v2, 2v1, those types of scenarios. So you can see there's a list, a small list here of different engagements. Cavalry action near Liana on July 1st, 1944. The Terminus Krupke, which is a battle fought on June 28th. Different key engagements of the campaign. But we're actually going to go ahead and we're going to start this game in the Army General mode, which is this new mechanic, or at least this purportedly new mechanic that really focuses on the individual portions of the Battle of Bagration, or Operation Bagration, which takes place in Belarussia, and gives you, it looks like, 4 different options to play, or 4 different campaigns to play. So you've got Orsha, which is the most complex, starts on June 23rd, runs through June 26th. So you can see here, Orsha strategic crossroads strong point of the German defenses was to be the place where Operation Bagration would succeed or fail, and therefore the place where the best divisions on each side would be pitted against each other. This is a fight that takes place over 3 days. You then have the operation for Berezina, which is a slightly less complex operation, takes place over a longer period of time, June 26th to July 3rd, 1944. Essentially, this is following Orsha. The German front line is broken open. Soviet mobile forces are racing into Army Group Center rear to try and isolate and capture its command and logistical centers, essentially and isolate large numbers of the German forces. So Orsha takes place first. This is the most complex battle that involves the breakthrough. Once the breakthrough is occurring, Berezina is the battle that is focusing on sort of the Russian exploitation of that breakthrough. You then have a slightly less complex battle that starts on June 27th, so a day after Berezina, and lasts to July 2nd, so actually before Berezina it concludes. And this appears to be kind of dealing with surrounded German units and sort of reducing some German pockets. And then you have Baranovici, and I'm sure I'm mispronouncing these words, guys. I'm sorry about that, but it looks like Baranovici, which is taking. That sounds more Italian in the way I pronounced it. Which takes place last, July 3rd to July 9th of 1944. And this is German reinforcements are arriving. Planned counterattack is occurring. Soviets are attempting to push their offensive further west at the risk of overextending their supply lines. So this is sort of the conclusion, I believe, of the Operation Bagration, as the Germans finally I'm assuming this is where the Germans finally reestablish a front line. Now you can click on these different icons and you can see the different strategic maps over here on the right that are going to be reflected. I'm assuming this little very lightly colored box is the region where this battle would occur on the larger Belarusian front. You can see that each one of these is a slightly different strategic map as well, and where the center of this is, Army Group Center's headquarters is over here. The Russians are breaking through. Again, you can see these different strategic maps with some icons on them to give you an idea of what's going on. That's Vilna. So actually, it looks like these might be very similar strategic maps. They're just labeled differently, because Vilna is here, Vilna is here, Vilna is here. Yeah, so maybe this is one strategic map and you just have the little mini box where you fight. I'm not quite sure. In any event, I would like them to have like a grand campaign where it's like June 23rd to July 9th. But given they're focusing, I think, at the core level. Oh, you get a little bit of a write-up over here. Yeah, so they're focusing at the army level, but individual corps are represented here. So I'm kind of curious, if it would be possible to do it at the army group level and have the whole campaign. I'm not sure. But you get a little bit more of a detailed write-up over here on the right, as well as the order of battle that's being displayed for the different forces. So we're going to do something simple, given this is a first look video, and this is literally the first time I have turned on Steel Division 2. We're going to go ahead and we're going to jump in, and we're going to do Babarusk, which is going to give us the 1st Guard Tank Corps, the 9th Tank Corps, and the 18th Rifle Corps. We're going to be playing as the Soviet forces, and then we're going to be seeing we're going up against the German Artillery Welding, Gruppe Welding, and Gruppe Hofmeister. So essentially over here it says 3 days after the first Soviet Belarusian front unleashed its attack, the right wing of the German Army Group Center was forced back and surrounded at Babarusk, including the Army Group's only Panzer Division. Really? Wow. The whole Army Group only had a single Panzer Division? Although there was no hope of relieving the trapped forces from the outside, Hitler forbade the garrison to abandon the place and attempt to break out of its own. After several counter orders from Army Group Center, the breakout is finally set in motion. First hours of June 27th, what remained of the 20th Panzer Division would lead the way toward Minsk, while the scratch units and the first elements from the 12th Panzer Division, arriving as reinforcements, would try to advance south to meet them. Meanwhile, the Soviet forces surrounding Babarusk will try their best not to let their prey escape. So essentially, the Soviets' job is to keep these Germans cut off. The Germans' job is to break out. So we're going to go ahead and do that. You can see here when we click on this, there's the strategic map, and then we get to pick how we want to play. Or we want to play as the Soviet Unions, we want to play as the Germans. It looks like we're going to play as the Soviets. We could switch teams, but we're going to play as the Soviets. We'll play with medium difficulty. I don't really know what I'm doing. Again, this is a first look video, just to kind of see how easy the game is to jump into and play. So let's go ahead and launch the campaign, and let's see what comes of it here. Okay, we got a nice little pretty loading screen. Okay.
On June 24th, General Rokossovsky's 1st Belarusian Front launches a two-pronged attack against the German 9th Army. The next day, both Soviet attacks have achieved a breakthrough and are inserting armored units to exploit them. By June 27th, half a dozen German divisions are about to be trapped in Fortress Babruisk by Hitler's order to defend the city to the last man. Yet, the next morning, he reluctantly authorizes most forces but the garrison to break out and reach friendly lines near Marina Gorka, where the 12th Panzer Division is starting to arrive to help the Babruisker from outside the ring. By then, the two Soviet prongs are about to meet behind Babruisk. Every hour counts, both for the besieged to break out and the besieger to tighten the trap.
The 1st Belarusian Front's offensive against the southern flank of the Army Group Center has broken through the German lines on both sides of Babruisk. Remnants from the 35th Corps and 41st Panzer Corps are surrounded within the city. When Hitler finally authorized the garrison to attempt to break out and return to friendly lines, the front line had moved 40 kilometers, held only by a weak screen of security units. However, the Germans have dispatched the 12th Panzer Division piecemeal to Marina Gorka to meet the Babruiskers halfway. The Soviets' 9th Tank Corps and 1st Guards Tank Corps are doing their best to reinforce their thin cordon of troops who intend to keep the Germans encircled. Your objective is to capture and hold Marina Gorka in order to completely seal the pocket and deny the fascists any possibility to save the Babruisk's garrison. Beware of the latter. Even mauled, 20th Panzer still has claws and might attempt a breakout in your rear. Mogilev falls to Soviet troops.
Okay, so that was an interesting sort of little documentary explanation of the campaign itself, which I think is I appreciate, although I guess from a voice acting perspective, it felt more Western European than Russian or German. Looks like you get a frontline report here.
Capture Marina Gorka on July 4th at the latest.
Okay, so our objective is to capture Marina Gorka by July 4th at the latest. Marina Gorka that's Babarushk. Where is Marina Gorka? So you can see the Germans are moving right now. This is the 9th Army's turn. And now it's our turn. So you can see units were moving around on the map. It was kind of hard to follow. But this appears to be the strategic map of the operation. Each operation or campaign, depending on how we're going to call them, has this sort of grand strategic map where all the different units are on the map located in different spots. You can see here that the Soviets have the 1st Guard Tank Army, the 37th Rifle Division, and the 9th Tank Corps. You can see these corps when we click on them, or these units when we click on them, give us different units that are I guess, attached to them, and we can kind of click in and see different information about the order of battle. Presumably, each one of these cards represents units that can deploy when you go into a tactical battle. So the 20th Rifle Regiment, for example, has 6 looking like bazooka-type units, 1 of these infantry units, 2 of these infantry units, and 2 trucks. They've got some mortars, some machine guns, all these different units here that I'm assuming we can deploy in a battle. Currently, they're all at 100% strength. They can take casualties and lose strength throughout the course of the battle. You can see their overall combat values. Infantrymen, 84 units are in this regiment, a strength of 9 infantry, quality is a 5.48, whatever that means. You can see they have 529 soldiers, 4 tanks or anti-tanks, 18 artillery pieces. 20th Rifle, similar, or actually each one of these are different elements. So the 1st 20th Rifle, 2nd 20th Rifle, and 3rd 20th Rifle Regiment all file under the 20th Rifle Regiment, and then this looks like it's a headquarters unit. If we click on the 9th Tank Corps, we can see here it has 2 brigades. It's got the 23rd Tank Brigade and the 8th Motor Rifle Brigade. Same story as far as clicking on these different units, seeing different information about them, and you can kind of get an idea of how you can scroll through the order of battle. the 1st Guards Tank Corps, I guess, doesn't exist yet. It looks like it's going to be coming onto the map here on the 29th at 6 a.m., 6 p.m., and then on the 30th at 6 a.m. And we can see at 6 a.m. we can see they're scheduling the 1st Motor Rifle Brigade is coming on the 29th, the 17th Guards Tank Brigade, and on the 30th, the 1st Reserve of the Tank Corps. So we've got the 1st Guards Tank Corps, which is mostly a reinforcement play, I think. Actually, each one of these has different reinforcements which will be arriving at different periods of time. So we're going to be getting a lot more forces. If we click over here, we can see Casualty List. We haven't taken any casualties yet, but that's something to kind of keep track of as the campaign goes on. You can see here 50 stars plus 30 is command points, which are basically how you deploy reserves. You can scroll in or out to zoom in or out of the map. You can sort of click and drag. You get different information about different German units here. So you can see 20th German Tank Group, Artillery Group, Infantry Group, and you get the same breakout of their general order of battle as well. I don't know if there's any fog of war here or if this is all somewhat subject to just sort of perfect information. You get quality breakouts as well, so I guess you can kind of compare them against your own troops. Looks like this is where the 1st tank are going to be arriving over down here. This little post in the ground, if you will. I don't see... It looks like you have to use your up-down arrows to move around. Marina Gorka is over here on the western side of the map. This is our objective over here. And we've got sort of a pocket of Germans here at Babarushk. And then we've got sort of a blocking force here, a blocking group at Bergen, and mixed AA batteries. If we zoom in down here, we can see the units that we already have on the map and where they're located. So we know we talked about some of the different order of battle units that are kind of up here when you click on the different divisions, but they all have a specific place on the campaign map. So this is what's different than Steel Division 1, where Steel Division 1 was kind of like a scripted, like, all right, here's your first battle, and here's a scripted map where everything shows up and how you fight. In this case, we have different units that are different places in the map that we can move around and engage in different places. So in that sense, it's somewhat more similar to the old war game campaigns, but it feels a little bit better because it doesn't quite feel so hex-based. It feels a little bit more like an actual operational map, and for me anyway, that's my personal preference here. So you can see we've got air units here. I don't know if we can like choose to bomb enemy units or not. Let's try that here. So we click bombard down here for the 63rd Bomber Regiment. And let's go ahead and hit this division here, Division Group 6. Okay, so you can see we flew in here and we bombed them. I didn't actually see what happened. So I learned this after playing originally. You can see on the lower right-hand corner here that when you bomb a unit, it removes their movement points. So this is very similar to the way that the Wargame campaign worked, where you could use air units, like in Wargame Airland Battle, to bombard enemy units that would have some impact on those units, either ability to move or the readiness that units would come into combat. They didn't actually lose casualties in the bombing, but it does influence their ability to move around the campaign map. Bombing units also do have the ability to be assigned to attacking formations or defending formations when you fight a battle, and so that also allows them to fight both on the tactical map, sort of in a Steel Division 1 manner, and on a operational map in a sort of wargame matter. So that's weird. It's only like 1 hex over, but it can move here, move 10 kilometers this way, but it can't move directly onto the enemy unit. It says it's out of range. So essentially, if we want to move units, we just pick the 90th Motor Battalion here. They look like they're a recon unit based on the icon. Left-click on the map, right-click on the map where we want them to go, and then they'll move there. And then as they move, you can see as the front line kind of is modified based on where they're moving here. So you can see there's this little bulge in the enemy line that's digging into their side, and then that's based off where we move our troops. Doesn't look like we move these guys terribly far. We move them here. And you can see, like, as a unit moves, they have this little bar down here which represents their movement points, and as they move, they use up their movement points. All right. Let's see. We can't drive these guys over here. So we've got the 216th Motor Rifle Battalion over here to the left. There's also a German tank unit to the west of Belorussian. And then we've got partisans are also represented on the map here, which is kind of cool. All right, so I wonder if you can't directly engage units here. That's kind of what it feels like. So if we move this armored unit here just to hold open the roadway. Meanwhile, we can choose these. We can tell these troops to dig in, or we can tell them to drive somewhere. These partisans, I want them to move here. These guys, I want them to dig in. Mainly, I want to form a blocking force here so the Germans can't drive west and sort of cut our own troops off. There's a lot of partisans, which is kind of interesting. We've got the 16th Guard Tank Brigade, which is coming up from the south. If we zoom in here, I want to make sure that there's no relief column that gets to the enemy. We've also got an artillery brigade. So we're going to move these guys to Janssen. I'm assuming, hopefully they can hit the enemy from there, in either direction. So move them up, move the Motor Rifle Infantry Battalion, I think, to the west. Again, these guys are going to kind of act as a blocking force. So we've got an armored unit here, an infantry unit here blocking these two roads here, because it looks like these are roadways. And then we're going to move the 16th Guards Tank Brigade here, because we can't move them further than that. Okay, so we'll do that. We're not going to use up all of their movements. These partisans here. Apparently I just attacked. Oh, okay. So I just right-clicked on a unit that was apparently in range. So the 7th Belorussian partisans are going to attack the 2nd Battalion of the 603rd Germans back here toward Marina Gorsk. These partisans here are going to move in this vicinity. The thing is, partisans obviously don't impact the front. They kind of act as scouts, too, by the looks of it, because they just detected this special brigade back here. Can these guys attack? No, out of range. All right, these guys already moved. Just don't understand why these guys couldn't attack. It's kind of weird. Can they dig in? They're out of movement. All right, so I think we'll leave that as is. That's sort of the operational map. We'll go ahead and end our turn, and we'll see what happens here. So now it's the 9th Army turn. You can see some of their troops look like they're driving south. Weird thing is, I chose for these guys to attack, right? But the partisans didn't fight a battle. Click to prepare battle. Oh. So we can fight that battle. Oh, there are no... Wait. Whatever. I'm not sure. Okay. So these Germans look like they're digging in. This regimental group. Our bombers are again ready to hit enemy formations. So we're going to go ahead and bomb this German unit here that's in the road between us and our objective. Wait. Bomber regiment, bombard. So it removes action points. So bombing removes action points from the enemy. It may not actually destroy them. Given that's the case, maybe I'll just do this where it will kind of lock the Germans in place. We kind of have air superiority over here. Still don't know why. Can these guys move over this way? They can. So I can move these guys over here. Surround this German unit. Move this guard unit over here. Hopefully to block reinforcements. And so now we've got this German recon, this 20th Recon Panzer Battalion, is now cut off. Oh shit, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. Although I did remove the action points over here, so hopefully they can't liberate them. Meanwhile, these other troops are coming up from the south. So we're gonna drive these tanks these away. We're gonna drive this armored unit over here. We can see there's multiple enemy infantry regiments that appear to potentially be coming our way. So move the 16th Guards that away. Move the other Guards tank battalion forward this way. The motorized infantry unit will move over here as well to support. Artillery, I think, will stay here. I'm not sure. Like, that's a long range. 16 kilometers is a long way. So I guess we'll move them over here. Again, mainly setting up a strong blocking force between us and them. These guys are still dug in, hopefully preventing a breakout. It appears to be June 29th in the AM phase. So if we go to the next turn. Alright, so the Germans are trying to break out here. So there is going to be a tactical battle that's being fought. And so we can either auto-resolve or we can actually fight the tactical battle. Combat value, 6 infantry, 2 armor, 1 artillery. That's for the 90th Motorized Battalion. What do the Germans have arrayed against us? (621). I don't remember what the Germans have. I can't see it. Or can I? No, those are all my units. So what happens if I auto-resolve? They're getting bombed by German troops. Or by German air, it looks like. You can see the battle is being fought out here. Total attacking victory. So we were the defenders. We lost 176 soldiers, 19 tanks or vehicle or anti-tank guns. Germans lost 27 soldiers and 2 tanks, 1 plane. So we can kind of see the different details of the different phases of the battle. We can see the force details. The Germans committed night bombers and fighters to assist the recon battalion. The motorized battalion, were they destroyed? What happened over there? Well, I guess I can't see that at the moment. Meanwhile, partisans are being attacked as well, so let's auto-resolve that. Just because I don't really feel like fighting a partisan battle. I'm assuming the partisans will be defeated. You can see the numbers that are kind of scrolling up, indicating how things are going. Draw. Attack has failed. Interesting. Okay, so our partisans have fought well. They lost 170 soldiers. The Germans lost 256 with 2 tanks or AT and 4 artillery. So that's actually a very good result for us. Again, we can click through these different phases and see the different losses by phase. Actually, that was phase C, so total is a bit higher. Yeah, okay. So that's great, because that hurts a German regular infantry unit with their own partisans. Okay. Other movement orders are going on here, and now it's our turn again. So the 20th Recon Panzer Battalion is still cut off. And apparently I still can't attack them. I don't understand the whole... I don't understand. Like, so I understand why you can't just willy-nilly attack instantly. Oh, okay, that's simple. All right. I'm sorry, guys. Again, this is a first look, so the intent of this video is to help explain to you guys how this type of a game works and how easy it is for you to pick up and play. So it wasn't super intuitive to me, but if I do want to attack someone, it does look like I can do that. One other interesting thing I saw after recording this is you can see there's these little dashes behind this recon unit for the Germans, and I'm kind of suspecting that's reflecting swamp territory. The map definitely shows different types of terrain, forest, rivers, roads, those kind of things. But there are also different icons which I think represent swamps, which would explain my struggle to actually launch this attack if you're trying to move armor through a swamp. So let's go over here and let's click on this motorized infantry battalion, and then we're going to click on this German regiment. Immediately, this German regiment says it's attacked, right? So we click here to prepare for battle, and by the way, this is what we're attacking, 81 soldiers, 0 ATs, 24 artillery. So we click here to prepare battle, and then we get the option to select what do we actually want to attack. Click and choose a valid battalion with left click again, or right click on a valid battalion. So if we left click here, then we can choose the motorized guards battalion. So we're going to attack this German unit or this Russian unit with the motorized guards battalion, or we could click this armored unit here. One other thing you may notice here is the letters A, B, or C for each one of these units when we're choosing to attack. And I believe the way that works is that's reflecting which phase of combat the units become available to you in a battle. You'll see units that are immediately adjacent of attacking tend to be A, units that are further away tend to be C, or different unit types could also appear in different phases of the battle. So I think that's kind of interesting that it gives you a little bit of a hint when you fight these battles, whether things are going to show up in A, B, or C phase, but that's a little bit more for the video I'll do on the actual combat. And then, so we can attack both of these here, and then we can actually fight the tactical battle. Now, I'm already 30 minutes into this video of me stumbling around and kind of introducing the game, so I think we'll do a first look of the actual fighting in Steel Division 2 in our next video. We'll go ahead and resolve this battle here, and then perhaps fight another battle. Also, it looks like the Germans have the ability to deploy additional forces as well of their own, because you can see different units of theirs losing their action points as this battle is occurring. So interesting in terms of sort of the ability to play. Again, this is general mode, so you can play at sort of a super high level as a general officer, giving orders to divisions and brigades to move around the map and fight, or you can fight things out at a more tactical level. And you can see, I think we're losing a lot more. Draw attack has failed. Shit. So, yeah, we lost quite a few casualties there. 226. The Germans lost more infantry there in Phase C, but we lost a whole bunch of vehicles. They lost more in Phase 1. Again, we lost a whole bunch of vehicles. We lost way more in Phase A. So we can see here from the actual battle that the 15th Guards Tank Brigade at the beginning of the battle consisted of 8 infantry units, 26 armor, no artillery. At the end of the phase, you can see here they lost, wow, a lot of casualties here. The 13th Guards Motorized Battalion, meanwhile, at the beginning of the phase, at the end of the phase, you can see what they all lost. So that was a bloody fight. The Germans committed their blocking group Bergen and their artillery regiment. They also committed the 303rd Mixed AA Battalion. And so at the end of the day, heavy losses on both sides. But our units are destroyed? We lost our entire force there? Jeez. I didn't realize the casualties, they didn't look that high. Okay, so now again, we can go ahead and attack again. And we can go ahead and choose to attack with, all 3 of these units. I don't think I'd do the partisans, maybe with the artillery regiment. And then you could actually go out and fight a tactical battle. All right, guys, I'm going to jump in here and wrap this video up. This was a first look at the campaign map of Steel Division 2. How easy, basically, is it to jump in and kind of figure things out? And there's a few things that are not super intuitive to me, but on the whole, this is actually relatively intuitive. I didn't do the tutorial. I didn't do anything else. I have a little bit of history with the Steel Division and war game games, but this is a very different look and feel for the campaign map, and my initial impression is pretty positive. I'm enjoying the kind of aesthetics of this map. I know sometimes these videos are a little divisive because I don't know what the heck I'm doing. That's the whole purpose of this thing. If it's not your cup of tea, I'm sorry. But yeah, I think what we'll have to do once we get a better grasp of the game, now that this thing is out, is go back and do more of a formal walkthrough or tutorial of the campaign map. But overall, I really like the sort of approach from a campaign, and I'm looking forward to digging into the tactical battles and see how those differ, and then also doing a full-blown series on this, maybe one of the bigger, more complex campaigns or operations we'll focus on. Let me know your thoughts below, guys, as always. If this is something you enjoyed, what your thoughts are. Is this something that looks kind of interesting to you? And I'm sure the tactical fighting is more of what a lot of you want to see, so we'll see that shortly. Additionally, I think I'm going to do a live stream tonight at around 10:30 Central Standard Time on my Twitch channel. Link is in the description, so if you want to check out as I actually play through this more fully, and we'll obviously fight through the tactical battles as well, then feel free to join us for that. But until next time, guys, until then, this is the Historical Gamer, as always, saying thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, I'm out. They're all arriving. It's like there's a shit ton of men, multiple rifle brigades and whatnot. So you can see those all just arrived, and now we can move them to the front to provide reinforcements for us. So those all came from the Guards Tank Corps. That was the 17th Guards Tank Brigade. We can bring in, or that was not, no, it wasn't. It was Guards Motor Rifle Brigade. And we can bring the 17th Guards Tank Brigade. You can see it costs 25 command points. We can go ahead and click them in right there, and just like that, you can see our 80 command points drops down to 55, and you can see how this thing will snowball. This is the least complex of the campaign battles, and I chose that deliberately, but you can see how easy it is to bring in reinforcements, but then obviously it takes time between when you call the reinforcements in, when they get to the front, when they're able to fight. Meanwhile, all these other troops here at the front are going to be kind of bleeding themselves down and what have you. Additionally, you get some icons around supply. I'm assuming this little red fuel barrel indicates that the Panzer Recon Battalion is cut off and without supply. So again, I'm not sure why we can't attack there. I don't fully understand how the game calculates when you can attack. I guess we don't have full movement points. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of an interesting thing. I mean, again, I apologize. This is a first look, so I know a lot of times not you guys, but a lot of times some folks like to complain when things are a little bit half-baked and not super polished because, again, I don't know the game perfectly at this stage, so I will admit that. And, you know, this is very much me stumbling my way through, but that's deliberate. So these guys are actually a little too exhausted to fight right away. Can we include air units in here? We can. Okay. So in addition to air units being able to use it at the strategic level in order to sort of halt movements, you can also bring them in an individual battle as well. And that's what we saw in our other tactical battle when we saw German air units attacking our units in that first successful German attack against us earlier in this video. Anyway, guys, this is my very first initial look at this game, specifically at the campaign map and kind of how things work there. A little bit of a Total War vibe where you move units around a map and then you fight tactically, although not strictly speaking. It's a tactical operational game, right? There's no building aspect, although you certainly build your deck by calling in reinforcements. But yeah, let me know if you guys want to see more of this. I mean, the battles are going to be fought in the same sort of Steel Division war game sort of way, and the campaign map, I think, is what was most interesting to me. But I think it could be fun to do a series on this and kind of show what this game is doing a little bit differently than the other games in the series, because in the past it had been a little bit hex-based. In the past it was, I don't think as much effort was put into the campaign mode in the past as it looks like it might be putting in now, and I think that's kind of exciting, to be honest. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this thing plays out. Let's see, can we do... We can. Nice. Although I'm sure as this is being shown, you guys will realize that I'm very much just going to get all my men killed, because that's what I do. Total defending victory. Those partisans are toast. Looks like the mechanized forces survived somewhat. But, yeah. Anyway, guys, that's a very first look at Steel Division 2. Game comes out today, actually, and the campaign map and sort of the navigation of the campaign map. I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. Hope you guys enjoy. Until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.